G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are you all doing today? It's another lovely sunny afternoon, and I thought it would be a great time to do a bit of this. Alright, now I've done a bit of a cruise up to somewhere nice to get this video done, because doing videos in normal locations is boring. So I thought we'd do one on the way out to some nice good mountainous-ish riding. It's not quite mountains, but it's getting there. And I've got a little topic on hand. Now, if you're new around here to the channel, ladies and gents, my name is Nathan. I post videos roughly every 3 days. If I get lazy, I try not to. It's usually the weather that makes me miss an upload. So do leave a like, comment. I try to reply to them all in a nice, orderly fashion. And do subscribe to your boy. Anyway, without further ado, we have a nice topic at hand. And that's including the old steed as we're riding it right now. Now, the video's topic today is the Honda Rebel your perfect beginner bike? Now let's go out on a whim and say obviously there is no perfect beginner bike, but we're talking about my one. It was my perfect beginner bike, it could be yours. If you're umming and ahhing, well, here's the video for you. First of all, when I was looking at getting a motorbike, I was always interested in getting a cruiser, and I was originally stuck between looking at a Yamaha V-Star before I decided it was too big and fat and bulky. Secondly was the Kawasaki Vulcan, which was nice, but I always ultimately decided that it was a little too plasticky for my liking, especially when you look at the matte black. It looks really cheap in person. Third up was the Honda Rebel, and once I saw it and really researched it, it was the one that stuck to me. Now, the reason I was interested in the Honda Rebel is because it's a smaller, nimbler cruiser bike, okay? It makes it very good as a first bike because it's not too, lumbering. It's not so big and bulky like a standard traditional cruiser. It's got a seat height of about 62 centimeters, which is fantastic. So you can really flat foot the hell out of this bike if you're a short ass, which is kind of what makes the beginner bikes more comfortable to get into. So definitely, if you're really short, the Honda Rebel's already up your alley. Now, it's a small little engine. It's a little 471cc twin parallel 180-degree crank machine. So its exhaust note, it's not the most brutal thing in the world, but it does sound quite nice. Obviously, it has that lawnmower quality, but it's better than a little tiny 150 thumper, alright? So, you've got a nice little exhaust. Now, as a beginner, you don't need an R1's worth of power or an H2, okay? It's just not realistic. This bike puts out about 46.7 horsepower, something small like that. It can still hit 171 kilometers an hour, so I don't even know what that is in miles an hour. It's about 100-ish odd miles an hour, I'd imagine, or 105, something like that. So look, it ain't a slouch in the meanest. You got plenty of oomph to take over people on the freeway, or the motorway, whatever you call them. So, if you're worrying about the power output being too low, you're already bloody in over your head, and you clearly have decided that you're not interested in one. But if you're in a state where you can ride any bike essentially, but you like the Rebels, look, just get the 1100. It's a better bike. It's exactly the same in all other respects, but engine. It looks exactly the same. It's got a cross plane and 1100. Well, it's around 1100cc. It's the Africa Twin parallel engine. All right, gorgeous thing. Back on topic. Now the Honda Rebel, mate. Small, very, very light for a cruiser. It's 192 kilograms wet, I believe, this thing. It's got about 50 odd newton meters of torque. Don't know what that is in pound feet. I ain't gonna bloody remember that off the top of my head, because in Australia we use the correct system, the metric system, for those who are wondering. Now look, it's been my beginner bike, and I've had it for like 2 years now. I think it's still grouse. But the longer you own the bike, unless you're really satisfied with it, the more of an insult that saying becomes. And if you're wondering what saying that is, it's the Honda Rebel 500 is the perfect beginner bike, okay? And the reason why that gets insulting is because it's the perfect beginner bike, okay? You don't want a beginner bike forever. Some people do, all right? They want that easy bike that's not too powerful. Now, the Honda Rebel is fantastic for that, all right? You've got a nice big fat front tyre, which makes it really easy to go on the road. It doesn't wobble too much. It doesn't flick in really quickly, but it's still nimble enough to do stuff. It leans over quite a substantial amount compared to your most cruisers. It doesn't scrape the pegs coming out of the driveway, for instance. You can actually get a bit of leaning done on this bike, which is what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to lean. You have those more sporty weekends. You can chuck a bit of sports tyres on this bike and you can get a good little day out of it. Clearly you're not going to lean as far as your naked bikes or your sports bikes, but you're still getting a decent lean for a cruiser bike. The way I would describe this bike to anyone looking to get a Rebel is picture a naked bike that looks like a cruiser bike, all right? You're sacrificing marginal amounts of things like your lean angle, and that's basically it. You've got every other aspect of a naked bike. You've got your nice seated middle position, like mid position, mid pegs, upright, lovely position to be riding in. Nice and light, very nimble thing. It's a small bike, it weighs nothing, remember that. So you can absolutely just send it on this thing. All right, we're going this way. What am I doing? Ugh. At least I think I'm going this way. I don't even know anymore. So, you can have a fantastic sporty weekend on this bike for a learner. You're not going to be getting knees down anyway. No learner does. And if you do, bloody good on you, mate. I respect it. Public event in progress. Oh, I made the wrong decision. So, not only do you get to enjoy a nice, beautiful, sporty-ish ride, it's a lovely looking bike if you like your cruisers. It's a nice modern take on your cruisers, okay? So it's not too futuristic looking, but it's not too chromed out and retro. So it's all nice blacked out and everything, which is sort of what the modern cruiser boys like, okay? So you really get the best of multiple worlds with this bike, and I respect it for that matter. It's not too powerful, and as a beginner bike, you don't want it to be too powerful. You don't want to be slipping, you know, traction and all kinds of stuff like that, because that's sort of what turns a beginner off. Because if you're slipping traction, you're scared you get it low-sided or something, or high-sided in the worst-case scenario, and you don't want to be doing that. When you're low-side and high-side, that's you're getting into some more advanced territories. But the reason I like this bike is if you're, especially a lot of learners like to commute as opposed to doing day trips and big things like that. So as a commuter bike, mate, this thing is unparalleled. I don't know why this guy in front of me is doing 30. Makes for great content. I might do a U-turn, to be honest, and get out of here. But yeah, doing day trips on this bike is possible, but it's more of a commuter bike more than anything. It's small, it's light, it's nimble, it is cheap on fuel. You can get them secondhand pretty cheap as well. Oh God, why is there all the traffic when I want to come in here now? Now there's a word I would use for this Rebel, alright? And that's confidence inspiring, which as a beginner bike is the ultimate compliment. You can't really go wrong. I nearly slipped on a stone then. But because the bike's so slow, it's really easy to adjust yourself. If you're on your toes the whole time and you slip on something, you absolutely shit your dacks. But on this bike, you just move your foot because it's that easy. But man, the point being is if you're thinking about getting a Rebel because it's as your first bike, I would 100% of the time recommend this bike for you. Now, for me, I got bored of the Rebel mainly because I ride a lot more sporty than I ever thought I would. I thought I'd be a cruiser boy at heart till I die, but evidently I turned out to be more of a naked sport boy rider. So that's where my fault is, but that's not the bike's fault. Or I can't fault the bike for doing what it's meant to do, all right? That's me faulting the bike for nothing, all right? It doesn't deserve it. The bike is more than it promises to be. It promises to be a cruiser, but it rides more naked-ish, all right? And honestly, that is the best thing that you could want in a motorcycle, especially in the cruiser variety. You want to make it a bit more cruisy, you can buy some forward controls. You want to get a better seat? Oh, mate, of course you can get a better seat. Get the standard one restuffed or something along those lines. There's a Vulcan as we speak, as I live and breathe. So, Vulcans are the much more comfy, cruisery cruiser, whereas the Honda Rebel is a bit more sporty, fun cruiser, if you know what I mean. Both of them are great bikes, but I would take the Rebel every time, and that's no questions asked. I like this bike, and I will always, if I had to do it again, I don't think I'd change it, because I needed the Rebel to teach me how to ride comfortably before I decided that I'd be a bit more sporty, and the Rebel was the perfect bike to teach me the fundamentals of riding without scaring me shitless, mate, you know. So it ultimately answer the question, should you buy a Honda Rebel as the first bike? Absolutely, mate, and I wouldn't ever suggest anything else again, if that's the category you're looking for. Obviously, if you're looking to be a sports bike rider, you shouldn't probably buy a Rebel. But if that's not what you're after, mate, I would recommend the Rebel 100 times over. It's a phenomenal little bike. It's a Honda, so it ain't going to break on you. It's still new, so there shouldn't be many issues with them. And of course, they look bloody nice. So do with that information as you would. But that's it. leave a like, comment down below, of course. Talk to me. I'll answer your questions. And you can insult me if you want. In fact, I'd encourage it, mate. Insult me if you didn't like me. I like having the interactions. It boosts the video. If you didn't like it, leave another comment down below. I'll talk to you. Otherwise, subscribe to your boy. I'll be posting more videos, and I enjoy having good old g'days and how you goings. But until then, take it easy, keep it cheesy, have a good one. Peace, man!